old interviewers had asked you time before.
Yeah.
Because I know your story is well known amongst black metal community, and
Yeah, I guess a lot of people have seen the film. Actually, back it was in 2016 when the film was officially released, and since then, yeah, I have got a lot of messages. I'm getting messages regarding the film whenever people watch it, or like through the Facebook page of the film or the production company. So yeah, I guess a lot of people in the metal community have seen it.
it's it just takes up a little portion of your life, like in the grand scheme of things. And I hope you're ready for like basically a repeat of Thomas's interview.
That's fine. Yes.
Because I'm really interested in not just your story leading up to you going to Norway, but things prior to that. I'm really interested in knowing what life was like for you growing up in Iran, because your music is amazing.
Thank
And
you, man.
oh yes, absolutely. I was listening to your newest EP, and it's absolutely crushing. In fact, with your permission, I would like to put some of that in this episode.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I love to have the people who listen to my podcast just fully ingest and absorb what I hear, what everyone hears when they hear From The Vastland.
Cool. Yeah. So, I mean, you have heard the Thomas podcast, so you know my story. But
Yep.
since I'm telling this for people who are listening to this podcast, and I just start from very beginning again. That when I was a kid, I grew up in a family where my parents are fan of rock music, and I also have an older sister, and she was also into rock and metal. So there was always music going on, like whenever my parents were coming to pick me up from the school, or like when we were just sitting and having conversation, or kids are playing, and then the music is playing in the background. It was all like rock bands like Camel, Eloy, Pink Floyd. So I was kind of familiar with the music from very beginning, I would say. But then, of course, my sister got into like heavier music. She started to listen to hard rock bands, and then afterwards metal music, and I just followed. I mean, I didn't have any other chance, I guess, any other choice where like it's all about rock and metal in the house, and it's like you just follow. So yeah, that's how I got into rock and metal music in first place. But specifically, it was the time when I had a friend that he had a trip to Austria for his summer vacation, and when he came back, he brought some tapes. I'm talking about uh, back then when still there was just tapes
Yeah.
and trading copies,
Right.
and like I'm talking about Iran, where you cannot find any original tapes because this music is banned. There is no any record shops. There is no any official store to buy the tapes, and we were just copying the tapes and trading. So my friend came back and he brought some tapes. That was like, Black Sabbath, Skid Row, Guns N' Roses, Metallica, Slayer. And that's when things started to get serious for me, and just started to listen to metal music, like just specifically and seriously, just to metal music and nothing else.
So what was the first Slayer tape that you heard?
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to the Slayer, that because among those tapes there was a tape, and it was like a selection of different bands and different
Okay.
songs, and specifically there was this "Sort of Heaven."
Oh yes.
Yeah, so but then I remember like what among all those selected bands. I started to just find out about all those bands which were in the tape. And when it comes to Slayer, the only thing I could find back then was the music video for Seasons in the
Um,
Abyss.
yeah.
And I loved it, and it was very hard to find new music. So I think it took me months and months to find new music from that tape, from those bands, to find their albums. And it was very hard back then. Every time we were just a bunch of friends, like in a school, trading tapes secretly, and every time any of us could find a new tape, then everybody wanted it, and it was like just going around, copying it next and next and next, and it was so precious.
Yeah, yeah, I'll bet it was dubbed over and over to where it was pretty much
Yeah.
inaudible.
And,
But
yeah, exactly. That's what I wanted to say. The problem was the quality, because every time you were copying it, the quality was
just got further and further worse.
so at the
Great,
end it was just noise.
awesome. That is awesome. So how old were you around this tape trading time?
I mean, I probably around, like, I don't know, 12 or something,
Okay.
12 to 14, or that was around the time, when we were like trading in school. But afterwards, also, of course, we continued, but then it was the time when we were meeting with friends outside the school, and that's, where we were also trading tapes. But earlier, it was just in the school.
Now, at that time, whenever you're 12 years old and you're tape trading with your friends, what was the worst that could happen if someone found out? Like the authorities, if they found out you were tape trading back in those days, was there a big consequence involved?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing could happen was they kick us out of the school.
Uh-huh.
That was like the first thing, because you know it, that this music is banned, and it's not allowed. And like, especially back then, since I mean, still today it's the same, but because of the internet, and because of like, the more people know about it, it's more okay. But not for the authorities, but for people. But back then, even like for other people, like not only the authorities in school, but for other people, it sounded very scary. That
Right.
metal music is they consider you as Satanist.
Yeah.
And so, like, the first thing would be they kick us out of school, which has happened to many of kids. For like this kind of reason. If they find you are doing something that is not allowed, so they kick you out, and then they won't let you to go back to a school that year, at least. And so, I mean, we knew that is, but I mean, like, when you are 12, you also don't think much. You
Yeah.
just want to do it, and you don't think about the consequences. But yeah, we were just doing it. We were so careful. I mean, what we were doing, basically, because at sometimes they were also searching, randomly choosing kids and search them and see what they have for different reason. So we were actually putting the tapes in our pants. So it was like a drug. Like we
Right.
were,
Right. Like it
were
was
dealing
drugs.
with drugs.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
We did the same thing here in the States when we were like, 14, 15 years old, but it was drugs.
Oh yeah. But that makes more sense,
Yeah.
with the drug.
And we definitely get kicked out of school. That's awesome, man. Well, I guess the education system back then is like, if they kicked you out, I mean, like, what does a 12-year-old do at that point when you're kicked out? Are you
Yeah.
forced to go straight to work to help
Yeah, I
support
mean,
the families?
like, that what would happen also, other than like just kick you out of the school, then you have like a case. The thing is, they write it down, they
Yeah.
document it,
Yeah.
and not only they won't let you to go to the same school, probably, I mean, in some cases, they won't let you to be in the same school, and then you have to choose another school, and they send your documents to the other school. So you are already, known when you go
Yeah.
there. They know who is this guy coming. And he's a criminal, I would say. That's how they look at you, as a
Yeah.
criminal.
So,
And so, I mean, you are always under control.
mhm.
They just want to make sure that you don't do anything wrong, and that makes it really hard for you. And also, of course, they would talk to your parents, and they just make sure that they won't let you to do the same again. Which in our cases, if this is my case, if it could happen, but my parents, it wouldn't be a problem for them. I'm trading tapes because they were supporting me. That was the other way around. And luckily, it never happened to me like at that time. But yeah, there was some kids, who got problem, and they kicked them out, and or they talked to their parents. It made a big problem for them to continue a study, going to other schools, and so on.
You brought up your parents, and one of the things that um, watching in the documentary, you tell just how close you and your family is. Namely, the relationship with you and your mother. I mean, it's precious, and I wanted to compliment you on that. And besides the obvious of missing home and missing the family and some of your close friends, what are some of the things that you really miss about your homeland in Iran?
Uh, I mean, you mentioned it. Of course, like the first thing is my family and friends. I grew up there, so I have my roots there.
Mhm.
But also one thing is like because I have also all my memories from the childhood, and when you grew up somewhere, you just make a lot of memories that remain with you for the rest of your life. It's nothing that you just forget. But also, like one thing I would say, like the nature, because I was so connected to the nature, like in the area that I was living, like in Tehran, in north part of Tehran, there are some mountains, and me and my friends, like we had this, like kind of routine, I would say, that every weekend we were going to mountain for like almost the whole day, spending time there, listening to music, talking about music, and enjoy the nature. That's also, even though like now I'm in Norway, which everybody knows, that's like the greatest
It's the
nature.
greatest nature.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
but since you are like connected to all those memories, that's also something I'm missing. But yeah, like as you said, it's like my family and friends, and my closest there. They are like what I miss the most.
Are you able to contact and communicate with your family as often as you like?
Yeah, I mean, we talk on phone. Sometimes we do a Skype and stuff. I mean, it's not the same, of course,
Right.
but yeah, we just keep in touch, And still today, whenever I talk to my parents, the first thing they ask me is like, "How is it going with your music? And like, do you have any shows coming up, any album?" It's like still today they support me, even though now they got old,
Yeah.
and I'm just doing by my own here. But it's like still for them it's the same. They just want to make sure that I'm doing what I love to do, and I'm doing it okay.
Yeah.
And they yeah, still today they the first thing they ask me is like, yeah, do you have any shows coming up, how is it going with your new album, stuff like that.
um, just watching the documentary again, I was just really floored by like just how close you and your mom were, and I got
Yeah.
pretty much the same relationship I have with my own mother. She's totally on board with everything that I do in my
Amazing.
life. I could listen to the most evil, shit ever, and she's like, "It's still my baby boy."
Amazing. Yeah, I mean, like my mother was also a fan of Sepultura or Death, or like whenever I was listening, she was also enjoying. Like
Yeah.
same with my father, they become also like a huge fan of trash and death metal at some
Mhm.
point.
You and I are roughly the same age, I believe. I think you said you mentioned you were born in '79.
Yeah, I'm 42. Yeah.
So am I. I'm 42 as well.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so we grew up on the same, the same music interests throughout the years and whatnot. So I'm interested in hearing, like, once you broke into your teen years, what were some of the heavier things you were getting into as far as, your musical taste?
Yeah, I mean, like what happened, I think that's the same for a lot of people that when you start to listen to metal music, slowly you, or like step by step, you get into heavier music, you just want more. It's like a drug again, it's
Yes.
like you just want more and more. And then like, yeah, of course, I started with like classics, heavy metal stuff, and then thrash metal. And then at some point, I was huge fan of death metal. And then until I found about black metal, and then everything just changed. But yeah, pretty much I listen to all kinds of subgenres in metal. I mean, like the main subgenres back then, because like today we have some different subgenres, but back then it was pretty simple. You start with heavy metal, and then you get into thrash metal, and then death metal, and everything around them. It's pretty much the same.
Yeah, it really
But
is.
yeah, but now it's like we have tons of different, subgenres. But back then it was not like that. So, but yeah, I mean, like all those big bands, classic bands, I have been fan of and listening to them for many years. But yeah, for a long time I was a huge fan of death metal, and specifically, the band Death, and yeah, until I got into black metal.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Death as well. Like Chuck Schuldiner, I mean, just say no
Amazing
more.
musician. Yeah, yeah.
I was fortunate to back in December. I went to see the Death tribute in Tampa,
Uh,
Florida. Like
yeah.
ground zero where death metal started, and it was amazing time to see
Yeah, yeah,
all his former bandmates playing his music, and Max Phelps singing, just sounding just like Chuck. It was amazing.
yeah, yeah. His songs never gets old. It's like
They don't.
amazing. And still today, whenever I listen to them, it's like so fresh, and I just enjoy it as much.
Yep.
Yeah.
So how old were you whenever you started playing your guitar?
Yeah, I started pretty, old, I would say, I mean,
Really?
compared to everyone else, because the problem was, back then there was several problems for me starting, learning guitar. First of all, I mean, it's not easy to find, a guitar, and super expensive.
Yeah.
That was the first thing. And then, I started to, it was right after school, and then I started to work like for a short period of time in a store, clothing store, for a few months, and just to save my money and buy my first guitar. So that's how I got my guitar, and then it took me like several months to get my first metal distortion pedal,
Hmm.
and and then also amplifier, and then okay, now how I'm gonna learn this, how I'm gonna find someone to teach me. That was another problem. I was trying to find someone for months and months, and no luck. There was people playing guitar, but not they had no idea about metal, and I
Right.
wanted to start. I remember like in the beginning, even like a lot of my friends and other people were telling me, "Yo, you should start with classic guitar, just buy a classical guitar, and then afterwards it's easier." And I was like, "No, I don't have time. It's already too late. I'm gonna, play metal. I wanna play death metal."
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, but finally I found someone who was more into rock, and then he just started to teach me. We had, I guess it was like just 6 sessions or something like that, and he just taught me the basics, like how to read tablature and
Hmm.
like some of the techniques. And he said, "Yeah, I cannot help you more than this. You just the techniques now, and you just practice." And because back then also internet, it was around the time when internet started to come to the houses,
Right.
and there was still possible to find some tablatures for free. And I remember I was just downloading tablatures and trying to play my favorite songs. and most of them were wrong, and I was not able to play, so it was very frustrating in the
Yeah, I bet.
beginning. Yeah. But yeah, so it took me a long time to, learn guitar. But yeah, basically I would say I'm like self-taught. It was just those 6 sessions, which was of course very helpful, just to be able to read the tablature and, put your fingers on the fretboard and just, know the techniques. That was a big help.
Do you still enjoy learning new songs from tabs?
Uh, No, actually, it's been a long, long time that I haven't played or or covered any song. But recently, I started to because like back then when I was learning guitar, I was also so much into death, and like almost all the songs that I was trying to cover was from death. Then all these years, there was like a big gap. I never played any song again. But recently, I started to just go back and, just try to see how I'm able to play those songs today. Still not good.
Still not
Nothing
good,
has
he said.
changed.
What's your favorite Death album?
Sorry, what?
Oh, what was your favorite Death album?
Actually, for me, the Human album, and then yeah, and then afterward also Symbolic, even though it's not the same, but Symbolic was also one of my favorites. But like Human is that this is like perfect.
It really
I just
is.
love it.
Like I appreciate like the brutal, abrasive era of Chuck, the leprosy era, and all
Yeah,
that, and spiritual healing. But it's something about Human that
yeah,
is
yeah.
just
That's something that
it's
I
out
mean,
of
they
this
are all
world,
great individual thought
right?
patterns. Even like I mean, Scream Bloody Gore is a great album
It
for me.
is. It is.
But yeah, but I mean, like Human, there is something like this is like a perfect mix of like everything, all
Yep.
the elements in
Yep.
this album. Yeah,
And he had some. I mean, his supporting cast on that album was just. I mean, second to
yeah, yeah.
none. I mean, it's
It's
just wow.
amazing, amazing.
That's great. That's great. We got more things in common than I
Yeah.
imagined. So, tell me what's like a normal day of life for you being in Norway now.
Yeah, I mean, like now I have much more a stable life because, like back then when I moved to Norway, the first couple of years, everything was still uncertain regarding my residency and stuff. So it was very hard to plan things. But like after a few years, when I got my residency and then I got permanent residency, so now I have like very stable life. So. I just have a regular job, like everyone else, I
Yeah.
would say. So, like but like also, because for me, like the music is always my priority.
Yeah.
Even though I love what I do, like at work, but still, that's not my main. It's like for me, the music is the first priority. And I'm lucky that, where I work, I just work from Monday to Thursday, and then I have 3 days off. And those 3 days are like from Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They are the days that I work on my music the most. So, but no one like normally every day, just wake up, go to work, and come back after like just having dinner and relax a bit. Then I spend my time with music either if it's like just listening to music or like working on a song or mixing or trying or just playing, to just get calm, just relax.
Hmm.
After a long day at work, all I need is music.
Same.
So I grab my guitar, play, or just listen to music, or mix, or just something, with the music. That makes me calm. So that's basically more or less my everyday life, I would say.
So, what type of work do you do out there?
I'm working in an organization that is basically helping people with their paperwork with the governmental offices,
Okay.
and specifically to the immigration office.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, I mean, like because in Norway, the system is I would say, pretty complicated for immigrants,
Hmm.
and especially because of the language, because
Yeah.
even if people are coming from Europe, and here English is not a problem, but still it's very important. So it happens a lot that people get lost in the system and they don't know what to do with their, applications, especially for their residency if they are outside Europe, because it's like more regulation involved. So this organization called SAFE, but with SEIF, it's one of the oldest organization doing this kind of job. So basically, they just help people to fill their application, send it to the governmental offices, and follow up the case in case if it's the answer is not positive, then they want to appeal and stuff like that. So it's also even though now I myself have the permanent visa and I'm not worried about my residency, but I exactly know the feeling when people come to us and they are like having difficulties to find a way in order to get their application through, or like get their residency sorted out basically.
Right.
So yeah, that's also it makes me happy, when I help people with this kind of stuff.
Yeah, it sounds like it's a very rewarding and admirable work you're doing because
Yeah,
you get to use your own experience and pay
yeah,
that forward because
exactly.
you had people helping you out,
Yeah, exactly.
So that's
And
great.
I know
That's
how it
great.
feels to be in that situation,
Absolutely.
So yeah,
That's
yeah.
awesome. I love to hear things like that. And
Cool.
cheers to you.
Cheers, man.
Yep, just drinking some water back over here.
Yeah.
So most people that probably follow this podcast probably has not seen the documentary. So just what was the biggest obstacles for you to you touched upon it earlier. Excuse me. What were some of the biggest obstacles for you to become, a permanent resident of Norway?
Yeah, I mean, of course, as a black metal musician, it was in my dream to, even like
Yeah,
just
yeah,
visit Norway. It's like,
exactly. I know that feeling.
what? Yeah, I mean, like for many many years, I was just thinking, if I get the chance to visit Norway and just be in one of, the festivals, like, anyone else, just loving this black metal scene in Norway. But I had no idea how and if it's gonna happen. So what happened is like as soon as I got involved in the film, the documentary Blackhearts, so I also got the chance to play my very first show at the Inferno Metal Festival here in Oslo, and it was in 2013. And that actually changed my whole life, because what happened was, I just got a visa for a week. I came to Norway. We played this show. I mean, it's a longest story,
Hmm.
but I mean, just my very first show. I never have had any, show before, and I didn't have any back band. But then I got the help from like very professional, known musicians,
Yes.
in the scene here in Norway. So we played that show, and then I had to go back to Norway. And like while I was here in Norway during this 1 week visa and the Inferno Festival show, I got a lot of attention from the media. It
Yeah.
was like the uh, Metal Hammer Aftenposten, which is like a newspaper here in Norway, like 4 pages. And then I had a BBC interview with BBC, like with NRK radio and stuff like that. And and like with the background that I had, like even before this, probably you have heard it in the other podcast, when I told about like the threats and everything I was getting like before
Yeah.
before this for years. So I was sure it's gonna be a problem, when I go back. I was kind of prepared for something to happen. But then, luckily, by help of my Norwegian friends, especially the producer of the film, we got in touch with the organization called Safe Muse here in Norway, which help musicians or artists in general who are not able to, follow their art in their own country, and help them to come here with some kind of programs they have. And back then, they had this program to get like residency for artists for a short period of time, but it was also possible to extend it up to 2 years.
Yep.
So so when I went back to Iran after the Inferno show, after a few months, I got the chance to get visa in January 2014 to come to Norway for this program. So everything happened in a really short time. I was not prepared, and we didn't know how it's gonna be. Everything was so uncertain. I didn't know even like this program is possible to be extended up to 2 years. So
Hmm.
I didn't know when I come here how things are gonna be, and afterwards what's going to happen if I have to go back. And while I was here, I also got to know that the authorities there are, actually looking after me
Oh, wow.
because yeah, I mean, like what happened is there was a lot of threats from before, but what happened specifically after the show, in Norway, um, as soon as I left the country and I came to Norway, uh, my neighbor got an official letter from the court that says, they want basically it says they want to meet me for some explanation regarding my illegal activities outside the country.
Wow.
But yeah, luckily, I was already in Norway. And then, my neighbor just got the letter and told me about it. But yeah, so I mean, like, there was a lot of uncertainty, that was like the problem, but also uh, not knowing what is going to happen if things are not, if things won't work, what is going to happen afterwards. That was also kind of, you know, it made it very hard for me to plan and to just be in that limbo kind of situation for long.
Hmm.
Was very hard, to be honest.
Yeah, I can't even imagine like
Yeah.
what what you had to go through, what your family has to go through on a daily basis. Um, so you and your family have my utmost respect
Thank you,
of
man.
what y'all have to go through. I mean, it's people in America, we probably take advantage of the fact that our parents live, within a rock's throw, and we can go visit them, you know,
Yeah,
every day, or just go without seeing our families for like 2 weeks, and
yeah,
just they're there. We know mom and dad's gonna be there, but you, on the other hand, and your family, I mean, it takes a special
yeah. I mean,
program for you to
yeah,
go out there, or them go out there,
yeah.
or your family.
No, I mean, like I remember, like even when I was actually leaving at the airport, my parents were there and a couple of my good friends, and we were just, saying goodbye, hugging and saying goodbye. And then I remember, like my father said, "I don't know if I'm gonna see you again." That was actually very hard because like at the moment I just realized, hey man, what's going to happen? If I'm gonna be able to see them again. That okay, there are, you can call them, you can see each other through Skype, but everything is like unknown. It's like uncertain. I'm going to a new country
Yeah,
by the age of 33. I'm just going to start a new life. It's not easy.
right. Yeah, and
So yeah, well,
I want to tell you, I want to compliment you on whenever in the documentary, you're 33 years old, and you get to meet all these highly respected musicians, and you played it so cool. Were you nervous at all meeting these guys?
yeah, I mean, what happened is like, the thing is, if today, like, or even today, when I play a show, I'm more nervous than that first show I had at Inferno. And the reason is because I had no idea how things could go wrong. So the thing is, like today, it's a good thing when you are stressed a little bit, so you focus more. Just you get ready, you are prepared, and you know what you're gonna do. But still, the stress is there. No matter how many shows you have played.
Yeah.
But that very first time, I had no idea So I mean, like I remember, like right before we get on stage, like we just got together with the other guys, and they told me, "Yep, Sina, this is things that I mean, we practiced for 4 days in a row together right before the show. We were pretty, ready, and they are experienced musician. They are
Yes.
professional musician. But for me, like going on a stage for the first time and there are crowd at Inferno Festival, and I have no idea how things can go wrong. So I was actually a bit stressed, but not as much as I should.
Yeah.
And then as soon as we started to play, like I guess like after a few minutes, after like 2, 3 minutes, I was enjoying it so much, so I didn't have a stress anymore. Even
Right,
that a
right.
little bit of stress, yeah, I mean, because I was just enjoying. But yeah, also meeting all these musicians, it was like a dream, you know. Still today, when I just think about it, it's like how the hell all this happened, you know? Was it for real? Was it a
Right.
dream or?
Yeah. I could totally understand where you're coming from, in that aspect because, my wife and I just came back from Oslo. We went to Inferno Festival. It was our first time out of the country, and believe me, I share the same emotions and feelings that you have about wanting to visit Norway for
Yeah,
a long time, and that was certainly my case. I wanted to, and I had no idea that I would shake hands with Thomas Erickson, Billy
yeah.
Messiah, Tom G. Warrior, among others. Uh, and like they were like just any other guy, just treat you like
Yeah, yeah, yeah. A super nice guy,
super
you know.
nice.
They are all friendly and very, for me also, because during that 1 week, first time when I, came to play the show, like everything was happening like one after another. So
Right.
there is no time to think about, And then afterwards, when that 1 week was over, I was like thinking, okay, what the hell just happened, in this 1 week? But like afterwards, when I moved to Norway and just working with the other musicians and like meeting all these legends, I would say they are not only super friendly, but they are also very helpful. Yeah, in my case, I have like they support you, they help you if you need something, and I mean, it was a surprise for me because I don't know if it's because like we all know that metal is all about like uh, brotherhood and like
Yeah.
being all like a family,
Exactly.
But it's different like when you experience it yourself because for someone like me who never had the chance to even go to a show like back then in Iran, and then I come here and I go to the shows and like in festivals like Inferno, you get the chance to meet your favorite artist. Not only that, you can also talk to them. You can and like for me like just also because I got into the scene through this, very quick and a special kind of way
You're right.
because of the film and working with other musicians. Everything was like happening so fast and quick. So it was always like a big surprise. But at the same time, since they were super nice and helpful guys, I never felt like, I'm a foreigner. I never felt like, I'm new to this. It was like this so including, this
Yes.
whole yeah. So that was very important, and I loved it. It was amazing.
I totally agree with you on every point you just made because that's the reason why I think I was so whenever I saw the Inferno Festival launch their early bird special for the tickets, I was like, I'm going. I mean,
Yeah.
y- y- uh, there's no question about it. It's like I'll save money for the rest of the year until I get money for the
Yeah.
flight and accommodations and all that stuff. So it's
Yeah.
it's unlike anything I've ever experienced here in the United States. And like you
Mm.
said, I mean, where else can you meet musical
Yeah.
heroes?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're into drinking a beer, you can have a beer with them or whatever. Uh,
Yeah.
and I thought, my own thinking was like, these guys are gonna get real tired of like seeing me and like just coming to them and just telling them hello. Like that was never the case.
No, no.
And like huge shout out to Mr. Anders Odin. I mean, he I would run into him all the time, and I was like, Anders, and he was like, "How you doing, my friend? You coming to the show tonight?" I was like, "Yes, I
Yeah.
am." He's like, "Cool, all right." And then he had gotten tattooed by Jannike Hansen on the Saturday, and he saw me in her chair on Sunday during Creator, and he was like, "Oh yeah, wait to
Oh,
the
yeah.
very." He's like, "Wait to the very end of that. Jannike is gonna do something special for you," and he was just teasing me because he knew it was gonna hurt.
Oh, yeah. No, it's amazing. I don't know. There's something special about Inferno Festival. I have been also at some other festivals here in Norway, but I mean, for me, of course, it's special because everything started from Inferno Festival
Yeah,
for me. So it's gonna be like this for me. It's always have a very special place in my heart. This Inferno Festival and all the people and everything. But yeah, everyone else also says that, that's like probably. I also like the festival is very well organized, everything because
yeah.
it's all they are doing this for over 20 years or something. So I mean, this is like probably one of the most organized festival in the whole Norway, if not the whole world.
Yeah,
Like
but
when it comes to metal festivals, I would say.
yes, I agree. It's a well-oiled machine, that's for sure.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
mean, you could tell. Like I knew that these the organizers take care of the artists and the people that work there because there
yeah,
was always someone checking on the workers. And
yeah,
if and they, if someone was selling merch, or someone was selling beer or drinks or whatever, it's like they had their people taken care of. Like
yeah,
they had people rotating for breaks. It was
yeah,
great,
yeah.
and I
And also
mean,
another thing, yeah, and also another thing regarding like in general, in Norway, since the government also supports this scene,
right?
like Inferno Festival and also all the other festivals, they get support from the government, from the municipalities, and it depends where they are and everything. So I mean, that's also something that I never experienced before, like where in my country, being a metalhead is a crime,
Right.
and then you come to Norway and the government is supporting this metal scene or like the most extreme metal scene.
Yeah.
So that was also something new to me.
Yeah, I was about to say it had to have been a complete culture shock. Like, oh wait, like I mean, but you knew going into Norway that black metal was everywhere.
Yeah, yeah, but I mean, like, what was also very, very surprising for me because back then, when I was in Iran, I also had another band. From 2003 to 2010, I had another band, and since it was just like real underground band, we never had the chance to release our album inside the country. I was always signing contract with label companies outside country and releasing the album and never get the chance to get my own CD in hand, like things like that. It was just releasing, but like for me, having like my own CD in hand was a big deal. And then I come to Norway and I signed a contract with Indie Recordings here in Norway, and for signing the contracts they invited me to their office, and I was just going there. I see like everything is official. They have an office. There are people working there. You get to see like the manager. You sign the contract. I was like, holy shit, what is this? In Iran, you cannot say you are a metalhead. Then you come here, you go to their office and sign the contract and stuff like that. So all of this, culture shock.
Yeah, yeah, I bet. And yeah, now I'm glad you brought that up because in the movie, whenever you're holding your first CD, like
See?
you do like a proud father, like man, finally I got this in my hand.
Yeah, yeah. All those years back in Iran, I was releasing the album, and since they couldn't even send the CD to Iran because they, of course, in a post-custom, they would take it. So we knew it. There was no chance. So we had a family and in Dubai, and I was always giving their address. So the label company was sending the CDs to their address. So I never, got the chance to see them until I moved to Norway. So like just having that that CD in hand and see, oh, this is my album now, it's officially released, and not only that, I'm able to touch this. I'm able to see the result of my, because like specifically that album, still today, that's a very special album. That was Camaricon album I released
Hmm.
in 2013,
Hmm.
and still today it's a very special because that's like the time when I was writing that album, I had no idea what is going to happen. And I was already finished with the album when I got involved. I got to know that I'm gonna go and play the show at Inferno and stuff like that, and it's gonna be released within the recordings in addition. So it was something very very special and unique, and still today that album means something else to me.
I it's a brilliant album. I mean, you obviously
Thank you.
were a student of black metal, up until you released that album, and it's just so good.
Thank you,
The
man.
the the
Thank you
the
so
the
much.
riffs and the atmosphere you create with that album I mean, it could very well, like, you could have been living in Norway the entire time, you know?
Thank you so much. Thank you, man.
Absolutely. And so I had a couple of questions regarding, like, the album process. I mean, did you
Yeah.
record everything yourself and just sent it out?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, all the years up to the time when I moved to Norway, uh, it was, my old band, and also From The Vastland in the beginning, it was just a bedroom band. It was just a
Yeah.
one-man band. I'm just sitting in my room and do everything by my own. Of course, just recording the guitars and bass, and also doing the vocals, and the drums were machine. It was like a program drum. So
Okay.
I was not able to play blast beats and everything, of course. But and also, like, because back then we were also a couple of friends. They also had their own band, so we were also helping each other. For example, like on Camaricon album, it's one of my friends playing the bass line because he was a professional bass player. But then, yeah, I was just recording everything in my room and mixing it, and just send it over to the label companies, and that was basically it. And also, like, uh, because one thing also, since we I was always like uh, kind of worried about, like, if the authorities find out about what I'm doing, so you have to be careful. So you cannot share what you do with a lot of people.
Right.
And like, I'm talking about, like, before From The Vastland era also, when I started to release my album, then you need to design a cover, you need to have a website, you need to write lyrics and everything, and who you can trust to help you with this. You don't know anyone, and then you have to do it yourself. So I started to learn how to design with Photoshop, just because I wanted to be able to design a cover art for my album. And I started to learn HTML back then in
Wow.
order to just make a simple page for my band.
Yeah.
So it was, for real, it was just one man band. Everything was just by not because I wanted. I mean, it was fun, but because I had no one else to do it,
Right.
and I couldn't find anyone, or trust anyone. So I had to do it myself. I started to learn everything, and by the years, I just got a little bit better and better, and I could do it like more like properly. But now, luckily, here I have the chance to do it like in a professional way, I would say.
You actually go inside studio and record everything now?
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, what we do is, like, it depends how is the situation, because my bandmates are also not living here in Oslo, or at least my drummer. So he goes to a studio there, in Kristiansand. He lives in that's a Spectre from Galsvir, and he lives in Kristiansand. So he goes to a studio there, and then here I go to studio myself. But then at the end we have all the tracks, and then we send it over, and get the final mix. And also for a couple of other albums, I did it myself. So I mean, it depends how is the situation. We decide how is the best, or like convenient to do it.
Right. And
Yeah.
so all the album art, you do it all yourself for the past six
No, I mean,
albums?
like, the Temple of Divas album, we did everything 0 to 100 in a studio.
Oh wow.
So we recorded, mixed, and mastered everything in a studio. But then also the Blackhearts EP, it
Mm-hmm.
was in a studio in Trondheim. But then afterward, yeah, for Chambush album and Diva Yasna, I did it myself. And then also the Half Khan we did it in the studio. And we also have a new album coming that we recorded everything in a studio, but I'm doing the mix and mastering, which I'm done. It's ready.
Oh, it's
So
ready to go. Just need to get distributed.
yeah. I mean, like our plan is to release it in early 2023.
Oh, great.
So next year, yeah. But
Great.
the album is done, everything is ready, basically. I just finished like the mix and mastering like last week,
Oh
so
wow.
it's pretty fresh.
It's real fresh.
Yeah.
So, uh, on the weekends, do you normally get to go to a lot of shows and just hang out?
Yeah, I mean, it depends if there is any show that, I mean, there are always some shows, especially now because like after pandemic, like
Yeah.
everybody's crazy. They just want to play show and people are just going. But yeah, if there are any bands that I would like to see, of course I go. And also like a lot of my friends playing in bands. So I
Yeah.
also, if I get the chance to go and see them and support them, I would do that. Uh, yeah, so like now during the summer, there are also some festivals happening. Some of them are outdoors, not my favorite, so I'm not going. Yeah, because there is like this big festival coming next weekend, I guess. It's or the week after. Oh, the week after. It's Tons of Rock.
Oh yes.
Uh, yeah, and there are like a lot of great bands, but it's an outdoor festival, and that's not my favorite to
That's
be
not
honest.
fun
So
for you.
I'm not going. No, I don't know. I would just prefer the indoor festivals. It's like the atmosphere.
Ah, yeah. That's true.
Yeah, I would like it that way. And not like I'm not going at all. Like this year, I'm not going to Tons of Rock, but usually I prefer to attend to indoor shows.
You ever venture out to Bergen for the Beyond the Gates festival at all? Since
No, unfortunately, I never had the chance.
no.
But I never had the chance to visit Bergen actually. So I
Oh
never
wow.
been in Bergen. Even though we have had a lot of shows in different cities, and I have traveled a lot in Norway, but not Bergen. Surprisingly,
That is
not Bergen.
surprising. That's
Where all the tourists goes, and I haven't.
yeah. That's I would love to go out to Bergen one day. In fact,
Yeah, I mean, I should. I really want to.
I had a cordial invite from Janneke Hansen, and she was like, "Yeah, you got to come to Bergen, check out Beyond the Gates, and get your tattoo touched up and everything." I was like, "Oh man, that would be
Yeah.
sweet."
No, I know it's a great festival, and yeah, hopefully one day I'm gonna also visit Bergen and go to the festival.
So, what type of things you do in Norway that helps inspire your music today?
Yeah, I mean, probably I get the most inspiration from the music that I listen to.
Hmm.
But what also helps me a lot, which I never had this before because I didn't have the chance, is just going to the shows. And it's very inspirational for me to see other shows and like just being in touch with other musicians and also like here I also have the chance to be in touch with my fans, with my friends and fans who also supporting me. And that's also very inspirational. But when it comes to the music, of course, like the music that I listen to is very inspirational. And on top of all of this is like the nature, I would say. It's
Hmm.
like it's a big, big inspiration for me. And even now, like I'm living in Oslo, but the first 5 years I was living up north outside Trondheim,
Uh-huh.
which has a great nature, and I was spending a lot of time in mountains and forests there, and that was amazing. Here I still it's possible, not as easy because there where I was living, it was like in middle of the forest. So it was like 2 minutes walk, and then you were by the river, fjord, mountain, and everything is was around. Here in Oslo, it's not the same, but still, it's not hard to get, to the nature. So yeah, that's also very inspirational for me to just spend time in nature. And yeah, basically that's it. Just listen to music, go to the shows, uh, just be in touch with other musicians, and go to the nature. Yeah, that's where I get my inspiration.
That sounds like some, the best avenues of inspiration. That's for sure. I mean, just, you had me at Norwegian forest. Just, I'm just gonna walk into the woods and just look around and,
Yeah.
fire up and just, I got 7 songs ready to go.
Oh yes.
That's great. So, if you can name drop anyone, as far as the musicians who have like pretty much taken you under their wing, uh, who are they, and do you still talk to them every day?
You mean the musicians that I'm in touch, like here in Norway with?
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, there are, of course, beside my bandmates that, we keep in touch, but also, I mean, like, we are not in touch, but it's one of the musicians that I respect, really, I respect when it comes to the music. And that's Vegard from Keep of Colosseum, or like now he doesn't work with Keep of Colosseum anymore, but yeah. And also like Christian from or Gal,
Gull.
known as Gal.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's like whenever we meet, even though if we talk, with Vegar, I have had the chance to work with. He played the show at Inferno with me, and also he played the drums on my Temple of Divas album. But he's a great musician. I really love his style, and also like when it comes to Gal, he's a super nice guy. Whenever, and also like my drummer also. I mean the Spectre, the From The Vastlands drummer, he also plays with Galsweird, and it's like there is always like some kind of connection.
yeah,
And yeah, I really respect them, and also like I mean, it's hard to if I want to name them, it's gonna be a lot of musicians that I like Arndt from Keep of Colosseum himself. He's a great guy, and also there are tons of other musicians that
yeah,
I'm in touch with, and it's like also the thing is. Here in Norway, they people always say, okay, like Norwegian people are cold, like they are not very friendly. I never have had this experience, but one thing I can tell is, if it might be hard to find a friend, it might be hard to get in touch in first place. But as soon as you are in, they are they are like real friends.
right.
No matter how long you haven't had the chance to meet your friend, when you meet him, you just take everything from where you left.
Yeah,
It's just yeah, and it's amazing. That's usually what happens during the Inferno and other shows. If you haven't seen your friends for months, then you just see them, and it's just great to spend time together and enjoy the music. And yeah,
yeah. That's one thing that I really gravitate toward. Like like I said before, I felt at home when I got to Norway. And like in the first Norwegians I was able to talk to, other than the cab driver and the lovely people on the plane, it was Thomas Erickson and Billy Messiah.
yeah, yeah,
They were waiting for me at the bar at the Clarion Inferno Hotel, and
yeah.
it was like just hanging out with him. We went from
Yeah, I mean, he is a great guy. He's my friend, and I mean, like
great dude.
whenever we meet, it's just like we just enjoy just talking about like music and all the craziest stuff. That like what, and also that's what when I say like it's hard to mention a name because probably I forget. There are a lot of people. But yeah, when you just go to the shows or like after the show, go to one of these known bar here for the metal community, then everyone is a friend, and like they are also other musicians. and it's like you all just you feel like in a family. It's just yeah, this feeling it's kind of unique, I would say. You just feel home as soon as you just are among those people. And yeah, that's exactly like the kind of feeling I get.
I want to show you something before I make another comment to you. Just bear with me 1 second.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
I want to give you some context.
Yep. All right, there you go. Where did you get this?
So I got this painting from a lovely woman in France, Stephanie Harlson, I believe her name is, and she
Okay.
was on Instagram one day, and she was doing a live stream, and she was painting, and I saw some of her work. She was doing a bunch of artists that's in black metal, death metal, and I commissioned this painting from her. And whenever I saw you, one of the first guys that you met over there was Nocturnal Culto and Ted. I was like,
Yeah.
bruh. Like right off the rip, he gets off the plane and he's meeting Dark Throne. I was like,
Oh, it
yes.
was it was unbelievable, just to meet Nocturnal Culto. That was a dream.
That yeah, I was like, man, I was like, I'm right there with him, man. I was like,
I,
like
I mean, he's a gentleman. He's a great guy. It's like it was amazing. That day when I met him with Arn together, we also went to his place for a short time, and it was just he was so welcoming, and it was just amazing to just see how these people are like down to earth and just being like just a friend.
yeah,
And it's like, yeah, you don't feel like you are just talking to a legend.
right.
And that's very unique.
Yeah, I walked in. Yeah, like speaking of legends, just walked in. Me and my wife was walking through Oslo, and I want to visit Helvete, and I said that's definitely got to happen. And we went. That's where I met Tom G. Warrior and and
Yeah.
and Anders for the first time, and it was like, holy shit! Like if we would have been like 5, maybe 10 minutes later than when we got there, we'd have missed him. So,
Yeah.
it was just one of those things where I was not expecting it at all. And,
Yeah.
there's the guy, the man, you know,
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah.
the warrior himself. But, it was truly unique experience. And, I appreciate that you're there and someone you can see it like it in the film in Blackhearts. You were the producers captured just how important Norway was for you,
Yeah. Yeah.
and not and being in the story that is your life, that you had to defect from Iran because you playing your music. It was like even more special to see you just being embraced by the black metal community.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, it's if anyone out there who's not watched the movie Blackhearts, you do yourself a favor, watch it. It's a great testimony of what the community is like, for the most part, and you get to meet and witness Sina's story like I did some years ago, and
Cool.
it was so good. Yeah, man, I'm totally thankful and grateful that you came on the podcast. But before we go,
Thanks to you, man.
I almost forgot. One thing I do ask all my guests before
Yeah.
what are the most important 6 albums for you? If the house is on fire, if your Norwegian flat is on, God forbid, if the flat's on fire, you gotta take 6 albums with you. Which ones are you taking?
Yeah. Dark Throne, Transylvanian Hunger, Borzum, Philosophem, the French band Blenus, The name of the album is pretty hard because it's in French. I
Yeah.
cannot
Yeah.
pronounce it. It's 1996 album. Yeah, the Gorgoroth Antichrist,
Oh yes.
and yeah. Oh man, it's hard to just pick six. Now it's like my head is just uh, how many I just mentioned?
You
Four?
see, you got
Was it?
Trans When You Hunger,
Yeah,
you got Burst and Philosophum, the French band, and
yeah, and then Gorgoroth.
Golgoroth. So you got four. You got four.
Yeah, for two more. Let me see.
And it could be anything. It just
Yeah, yeah, I mean, like, of course, I would also, include Death, the Human album. That's like for sure,
for sure.
And yeah, and what else? Doesn't have to be black metal, right? I
No, no.
can go like all the
Any
way
six, any
to my
six out.
childhood memories. Yeah.
If you need
I would
to,
also.
if you need to cheat, look at your phone. You could do that too.
No, but like one of the albums that I still love is the Sepultura Chaos AD album.
Oh yes, great
I
album.
also love that album. I don't know. I also love like all the Sepultura albums back the Max era, but this Chaos AD I love it. I love this album.
The man's down picking is insane.
It's
I mean, you want to give your forearm a good workout. You just play anything off of Chaos. Play anything by Sepultura.
Yep.
Like you said, especially from the Max era. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So what you got for the rest of your night? What you doing for the rest of the night?
Yeah, I mean, I have a plan to just play one of the songs from this new album and see how it works if I later want to perform it in our live concerts.
Uh-huh.
So I'm gonna give it a try and just play the song and try to sing and play and see how it's gonna be. Because I usually, whenever we release an album, I try to include some of the songs from the new album in our set list for the next show. If there is any show coming. And now for this album, I'm gonna start with one song, so I'm gonna try it and see how it works. If I'm gonna perform it, if I'm gonna play and sing it. So we will see.
Well, I'm looking forward to it for sure. I've been blasting, I've been jamming all your albums up until the time we got this podcast up and running.
Cool.
So
That's great to hear.
yeah, absolutely, and so you have a new album coming out beginning of next year. Big question is, are you playing Inferno Festival?
I mean, like we just played this year, so probably not. It's like since we just played this year, it's probably not gonna happen again for next couple of years. Because there are always some other bands they take. From, and also like one thing is all Inferno is about is just introduce some new bands.
Yeah.
So every year they have like bands coming from different parts of the world, and this was the second time we played at Inferno, which doesn't happen to many bands. Also, like playing two times at Inferno. It's always a great pleasure to play. I mean, if they let me to play, I would play every year, of course.
Well, of course, of course.
But probably it's not gonna happen. Yeah, we are not having any show coming like for sure now. But there are some stuff that I'm trying to make a plan with, and hopefully there will be some shows in the future. So that's why I am also trying to figure out about the songs and stuff like that.
So how can our listeners support you?
Well, the best is just to listen to my songs. That would be great.
That'd be great. Well, don't worry about that. I'm gonna have the Bandcamp link.
Yeah, I mean, like if they want to support by like purchasing albums and merch and stuff, then our website fromthevastland.no and Bandcamp fromthevastland.bandcamp.com are the two places that they can purchase some stuff. And I'm also trying to make some more merch in the near future, and yeah, just check them out. And if there is something, even they can buy the digital albums on Bandcamp. or just listen to it and enjoy. That's fine.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I'm definitely gonna push it as far as I can,
Thank you, man.
because I'm a huge fan. I'm a huge fan of you as well.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for coming on my podcast, Sina.
Oh,
It really means a lot
man.
to me.
Thanks for having me here. It was great talking to you. I just enjoyed having this conversation, and I hope people also would enjoy listening to it.
Oh yeah, me too. I hope you do. If not, I get to treasure it forever. I don't care.
We had a good time, right?
We had a good time. That's all. That's what this podcast is all about. Just having a good time. And I look forward. I look forward to doing it again with you one day. Possibly whenever maybe the new album comes out, we talk about it.
Yeah, sure.
That'd be great.
That would be great. Yeah.
But if not, I'm definitely going to see you at Inferno next year.
Yes, then we're gonna meet again.
Absolutely. Sina, thank you so much, my friend.
Thanks to you as well, man. Have a nice evening.
Have a nice evening.
I don't know what's the time now.
It's just after lunchtime over here.
Okay, have a nice afternoon then.
You have a good night. Thanks.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.